So they were like, it's going to be Seth's birthday. So there was like Ben Affleck, John Lithgow, John Bernthal, and Anna Kendrick all were like singing me happy birthday at the table read.
Crazy.
Gavin O'Connor. And so, yeah, that definitely was a really crazy moment.
What's up, guys? Today's guest is a martial artist turned actor, director, and stuntman. Please welcome to the JAMCast, Seth Lee. What's up, dude?
What's up, man? Thanks for having me.
Yo,
nice to see you.
Good to see you too, man. I appreciate it, dog. And
of course.
As everyone on here knows, it's always a trip for me to sit down with everyone over here. But this is one of those episodes where I'm feeling super old because you are one of the guys that I knew since you were a little kid in the martial arts scene.
Yeah, no kidding, dude. I've known you for a while, and we weirdly have that family connection because my sister worked for you, and so there's always that like establishment between us. So
yeah,
it's
100%.
Cool. It's crazy. It's crazy, man.
I know, and I always try to shout out Jen as much as possible because she went behind the scenes for so long. So for those that don't know, like I'd say maybe like 4 years ago, his sister helped like work as like a personal assistant with mine with a company I did, and also just helping me on sets when I was first coordinating things. And it was just great to have a second hand there that knew the business.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. She talks about it all the time. She loved it. Great experience for her.
Yeah. And honestly, I think one of the coolest things about your family is that you guys have been exposed to the industry so much that like you guys aren't shocked by it. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah.
You're not like wide-eyed and bushy-tailed being around actors. And that was like one of the greatest things about having Jen was that she wasn't there like
getting
in
starstruck,
awe trying to ask for autographs.
Right. Yeah, exactly. No, for sure. Definitely like, when I was a kid doing it, because I've been doing this whole thing since I was like 6 or 7. So, at first when I started, of course, I was going to be like starstruck and whatnot. But like through the years, just being conditioned into it, just like these are regular people, you know what I mean? Like don't romanticize them. And I don't know. So it just... it's crazy. It's nice.
It is super crazy. And when did you guys actually make the formal move out to Los Angeles? How old were you when that happened?
Yeah. Let's see. It was back in 2014. Okay. And so I was about 10 or 11, something like that. It's funny because like I'm from Austin, Texas, for those who don't know. And, even though I say, I'm from Austin, Texas, that's where I was born. I don't really like have like establishment over there because it's like if someone asked me like if you were like, hey, like I'm going to Texas tomorrow, like what are some spots to recommend? I'd be like, dude, I have no idea. I feel like it's funny because I left when I was about 11, so it's I feel like a Valley kid, and that's where I first started living when I came out here, rather than an Austinite, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I feel like I've grown up here all my life, and it was about 2014.
Okay. All right. That's cool. And now along the lines of that, I know that like predating obviously your move out here to Los Angeles, you've been involved in the martial arts for way longer than that. And one of the cool things about this is that not only do I know about your history, but I got to talk to your dad a little bit before this interview.
Oh, okay.
So
nice.
I know a bunch of stuff that you probably are like, how does he know that?
Yeah. Like what?
But so one of the things that we talked about was that you actually had gotten your martial arts start under someone very famous in the martial arts world known as Carmichael Simon.
Yeah.
But he also mentioned that you actually had an interaction online taking a lesson with Ernie Reyes.
Yeah, lesson might be too strong of a word. It was more so my dad was doing like a work thing, like over like what was like the first sort of like days of like
this is
Zoom.
Pre-Zoom.
It was pre-Zoom, but it was like the initiation of like that like conference over like the computer. So they were doing like something like that, and he was on the other end. And he was in his office, and I came down running in like my underwear and like a top hat and like a fake mustache or something like that. And I was like a little kid. This was about 6 or 7. This is where everything kind of all started.
Yeah.
But I ran down to his office, and my dad was like, "Get out of here! Like, go away!" And then Ernie saw me, and he was like, "That kid has like a lot of like I can just see like he has like energy. He has something about him." And then he started talking to me. He was like, "Hey, like, what's your name?" I was like, "Hey, I'm Seth." And he was like, do you have any interest in martial arts? And I was like, I don't really know. And he was like, how about this? Let me just show you something. And Ernie, over this work call with my dad, taught me like just a cross punch.
Okay.
And very simple, but I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. I was like, and after the call, I was like, who was that guy? And my dad was like, that was Ernie Reyes Jr. And I was like, Still don't know. I was like,
You're
I don't
too
know who
young,
that is. Too young for that. And then, but he later explained to me that, he's in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Surf Ninjas. The Rundown.
Rundown, yep. And so after that, I sort of spent like hours just watching his stuff. And that's when I was like, damn, this is crazy. Like this is like, that's really cool. And there was the whole acting martial arts thing. That's like a package combo. And I was like, that's like really interesting. Maybe that's something I want to do. And then found myself then working with Carmichael Simon in Texas, because he was out here in LA. Ernie was. And so I sort of found my way into ATA and like doing Taekwondo while also trying to start this acting stuff, because that was like, I wanted to follow his path. And then I moved out here, and then I started working with Mike Chat. I started working with Dan Perez, actually. And I just, once I migrated over here, everything just sort of continued. That was the whole purpose, honestly, to moving out of LA, was for the martial arts and the acting and whatnot.
No way. And so along the lines of that, like, I know that you have another sibling in addition to the one that worked with me as well, right?
Yeah, Ashley.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. I don't want her to go forgotten on this.
Dude, you know what's actually really funny about that? There is, I forget it might be famousbirthdays.com.
Okay.
But under it, there's like a trivia thing. And
And
it goes, oh, he has an older sister, Jen.
Oh,
and
so
Ashley just completely gets, just is not involved in it. But yeah, continue.
What's up, Ashley? We didn't forget about you.
We didn't forget about you. The world may have, but we didn't.
Yeah, so my question was like, obviously you just mentioned that your family kind of relocated out here to pursue the acting.
Right.
Are any of your other family members into the entertainment industry, or is the focus literally to try to help benefit you in your career?
Yeah, no. I'm not too close with like my distant family.
Okay.
But I think I have, like, I honestly don't know like what the relationship is, but I think there is someone in my family who is an actor.
Okay.
And I remember, like, I don't know why, this is like a really weird foggy memory I have, but like going to like a film festival in Austin and like seeing like this short film, who I think was my uncle. I'm not entirely sure that dynamic, but yeah, that was about it though. But there was no connection between that. It purely was something that just was isolated and separate from my uncle, I guess. It was something that I just wanted to pursue. And then I think that's when Jen sort of started getting involved as well, after me. Not to say that I'm going to take credit first, but you know, yeah, so it was very much a separate, like, sort of me just like following what I wanted to do, and not because someone was telling me to do it. You know what I mean?
That's pretty cool. I mean, obviously, like the question would be like, you know, how supportive is your family? But obviously, with the story that I know and how close I am with them, and also seeing them move out here, it's pretty amazing to have support like that. You know?
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I know everyone, like, when they win in like an award, they go, I just want to thank my family, whatnot. Like, truly, like, my dad has done so much to help my career out, and you know, I don't know where I would be without him, or even my sisters as well. I mean, they all support me. Like, I've done auditions with Jen. In fact, Jen took me to the accountant audition. You know, so there was some split between everything. So my family really brought me to where I am today.
That's crazy, man. And now, obviously, like, getting into something like acting and having a dream of pursuing the industry at a young age is something that probably, I'm sure, millions of people have had at some point in their life, including myself. Right. But to actually make it happen takes a lot of steps, which is why it's cool to have 100%. You on here, especially as a young person. So as a young person that moved out to Los Angeles, what did you initially do in order to start doing those initial steps to pursue your career? Yeah.
You know, I think just like any like actor, no matter where you are in your career, acting classes.
Yes.
You got to take acting classes, and then with this martial art and like stunt experience that I wanted to get into, obviously going to jam a whole lot, and training with Mike Chat. Yes. So I think like one of the first things that I did when I got here was building like a foundation at Jam, and just wanting to like get involved in that side, and then obviously take like the routine acting classes, and then that followed into me going to XMA. Honestly, when I moved out here, I wasn't too focused on the ATA portion. It was a lot of like the stunt experience, like the traditional Taekwondo stuff. Sort of, while I did continue a little bit, I was mainly focused on gaining like the stunt experience.
Okay.
Because I knew that the stunt experience, while yes, martial arts does help that as well. But once I think it's just important to like, because it is a completely different totally training to be a stuntman. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it was really nice to have Jam open when that all was happening. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad that you recognize that too, because that's something that I feel like even adults don't realize at first. They just assume I'm a black belt, so I'm going to be a great stuntman.
Right, exactly.
Totally different.
You may have like a solid foundation. I think 100% like, I think you can't like, I think you can be a stuntman without having like already a foundation in martial arts.
100.
Like I think like Keanu Reeves didn't have much of an experience before going to John Wick, right?
Totally.
But like, you know, of course you need to learn the martial arts, but I think you can be a little like in over your head if you think that like it's completely the same just going from Taekwondo to stunts, because it 100% is different. Like you got to learn the falls and all that stuff. It is very different. And of course, because martial arts is sort of now generalized to a bunch of different like subcategories, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So I don't think you can take like jiu-jitsu and then just be like, oh, I'm going to go
screen fight.
Exactly. 100%.
Yeah. It's something that was a wake up call even for myself when I got into business. I mean, I've been a martial artist since I was 6 months old, and you just take for granted, like, I know how to do this, but the form on camera is so different. And a lot of times I tell people this, I actually prefer non-martial artists sometimes. Like it is great for them to have a base.
Right.
Sometimes I prefer dancers. Just because they're good at mimicking, they're good at learning choreography.
Right.
They have a good understanding of their body. Sometimes people that are martial artists, it's hard to break habits. You know, like one thing for a lot of martial artists is they are habitual chamber punchers.
Right.
And a lot of time I see them on camera punching and they're like, yeah. And
right.
like,
yeah. Well, because like when you see fights on screen on camera, it's typically not like, well, yes, there are some movies that do focus on it, but a lot of it is like street fighting, like sort of
barroom
like,
brawls.
Exactly. Yeah. Very like raw, like knuckle, you know what I mean? So, yeah, 100%. Like I do remember like seeing some people, you know, try to break habit of those like very like traditional martial arts styles while trying to do stunts. And again, it 100% is just based off like habits and like trying to break those habits.
What correlation did you see between, the training and the time put into martial arts and the time put into acting? Did you find one was easier than the other, or did you kind of find that both were relatively something you fell into?
Sorry, repeat the question.
Like as far as martial arts and acting are concerned, did you find one was easier to train for and fall in love with? Like, were you naturally more inclined into the martial arts, or once you started acting, did you find it was just as easy?
No, because honestly, the way I've always seen it is that both of them help one another. You know what I mean?
I guess that's what I was kind of
so yeah, I think it's like I never found like, martial arts was over acting or vice versa. You know what I mean? It was like martial arts has always helped me in my acting because having that experience in stunts and whatnot will always like benefit acting.
Yeah.
So it kind of was just like a working relationship between the two.
Okay.
And I don't think one was easier or harder than the other because, yeah, I don't know. It all requires just the same like discipline and like, you know, focus that you need for that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 100.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious about that because I feel like there's probably two schools of thought. There's probably one school of thought that thinks karate and martial arts probably helps you because you're used to like performing and competing and announcing your name to the judges. Whereas there's like another side where I feel like a lot of traditional martial artists or guys that I know hate speaking publicly.
Right.
They have like an irrational fear of verbalizing. But when they go out there and do their tricks, they're some of the most
even
loud
competitive martial artists.
Even some of the best trickers on the planet. I don't want to say their names out here, but like even some of the best trickers on the planet that I've had on the JAMCast refused to do it forever because they didn't feel comfortable talking.
Well, you know what? Like I think I do kind of understand that because I think everyone has their own way of communication. You know what I mean? Expression. Yeah. And while those individuals may find it harder to publicly speak, they do publicly speak in a different language. You know what I mean? And that's through their body and their movement. So like I do that, like that does make sense. Everyone is sort of, you know, I think everyone has a tiny bit of like stage fright. I think just a little bit inside of them. Insecurity, but you know, it's just what makes us human. So I don't know. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. No, that's cool. And now along the lines of obviously coming out here and putting time into your craft and obviously going to acting school and stuff like that.
Right.
I know one of the other things that was unique was that you graduated from film school at a very relatively young age. Like I want to say 17.
Yeah. So I went to Ghetto Film School.
Okay.
And I was the youngest in the class. I was 14. In fact, I applied when I was 13 and I was like crossing my fingers. I was like, dude, I turned 14 right when we start. So like, don't fail me now. So yeah, I mean, it was really interesting though, being the youngest in my class though, because it felt like I was always trying to like, cause you know, the range was like basically like 17 to like 20-year-olds. That was like the range.
That's a big jump.
So exactly. I was really trying to like fit in as much as I could, be like, I know I'm young, but like, I'm going to try really hard to fit in as much as I can. But it was a great experience. I mean, I also don't know where I would be without Ghetto Film School, to be honest.
Okay.
Like because I was homeschooled, I sort of for my high school,
yes,
Ghetto Film School was like my form of public school.
I was just gonna ask if it coincided or if it was in addition to.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was definitely in addition to high school and like the homeschool stuff that I was doing. But that was really like my experience that I got in that like environment.
Okay.
And I just learned so much. I mean, like my love for filmmaking grew, and like it also like this is one thing that like I also maybe like crazy to think about, but I think some of the best stuntmen should also try to get into directing, because then you can really see what like the camera, where the camera should be and how you communicate with the camera. Because I know for sure like having that stunt experience and going into directing has helped me sort of visualize both sides. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that should like, do you direct or anything? Or?
The goal is to go into second unit directing and then first unit.
Sick.
But like, for example, like as we talk about on this show all the time, what we do in mini directing world is we shoot previs.
Right.
And we turn
exactly.
the previs to directors, which is literally 2 to 3 minute scenes, top to bottom, with dialogue, with VFX, with sounds.
Exactly, and just so you see the whole world a little bit differently.
And most times they almost copy our previses, as you see on like our Instagrams.
Right.
You know, we're not supposed to, but we most times put them up side by side so the world can see like, oh shit, someone else actually shot that. You know?
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, like, you know, you got to get used to the camera and all that stuff. It's nice.
I think it's crucial though. What you're saying is that it gives you, you know, a better understanding of where to stack hits, where to line up, where you should be, and I think that's great. And now, excuse my ignorance, but maybe for some of our other listeners out there as well, can you explain to them like what Ghetto Film School is and how they could apply and how long the program is? And what it
so
entails?
Ghetto Film School is a 3-year program where basically some of the production studios have invested into this organization.
No shit.
And you know, we do a whole bunch of things, and it's ever evolving. So like each year there's something a little bit different about it, like for the new class. But right now there's London, New York, and LA. It originated in the Bronx. And basically, you know, the course when I went was we make a non-dialogue short film. In the very beginning, we screen it at the Landmark, and then we have like panelists who take a look at it and give a little like ceremony to it, judge and give like awards and what's it called? Just like not they give like prizes, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And it's just a 3-year program about like learning more about the filmmaking process. And what's great about it is that you don't need like to go in there with the mindset of like, oh, I want to be a writer, director, or something, because you get to figure it out along the process. But yeah, in that 3-year span, you also they go out to NYU. And you learn from, you know, the new East Coast filmmaking process, which is definitely different than the West Coast filmmaking process. And then at the end of it, a crew goes out to like somewhere out of the country to go film something, film another short film. And, you know, there's other stuff that happens in between. But at the end of it, it doesn't end. And honestly, like, it doesn't end. Like, I'm still currently in ties with the film school, because we get opportunities afterwards as alumni for internships and other projects. Like right now, actually this first time, I don't even know if I'm supposed to talk about it, but I'm going to say it anyways. We are working with the museum, Huntington, and we're going to have an exhibit for our projects, which are going to be shot in 60 millimeters. So I'm working on that right now. So that's the thing, is it's like once you go, like it continues on for the rest of your life.
And is it paid or private?
It's all funded. You don't have to pay anything to go there.
Wow. So you just have to get accepted.
You just have to get accepted. So there's like a not an audition process, but just sort of like an acceptance process. Like you have to go submit on their website just like a form, like a Q&A, I guess, like answer the questions. And then you go into like do interviews. And then if you get accepted, then I think they take about like 30 students each year or something like that. But yeah, it's pretty standard in terms of like the acceptance process. Like it's nothing crazy. Yeah, you could think of it like applying to like a college in a way.
Okay. And now obviously you mentioned that you kind of did it in coincidence with being homeschooled and stuff like that. Were the majority of the students homeschooled, or how many hours were required per week?
I was the only one that was homeschooled. Okay. Everyone else was in school, which was
like
tough. I'm like, that is insane. Like I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't the best at school because I had so much other stuff going on. So I kind of slacked a little bit, but it was because I was doing other things. So I was like, I don't know how these other kids are like maintaining like a good like high school like GPA and whatnot.
Totally, yeah.
While also doing this, because like in the summers, it's every single day, except for like Saturday and Sunday, but it's every single day. And then the rest of it is only once a week, and it's on like Saturdays and whatnot. But then once you go back into the next summer, then it's every day again and whatnot. Yeah, it's crazy.
So that can be a full-on schedule because as most of us know, and the one that you referenced earlier, a lot of people relate film school to USC, NYU,
right.
Which are obviously college-age programs where your main focus is just going to school during that. So that's insane that kids are balancing high school and I guess post-high school studies along with that.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I knew like. I think somewhat in the middle of it, a lot of the kids started going into college as well. So they were being freshmen in college while also doing this film school thing. And I was like, that is insane. Yeah. And like, how I said earlier, like it still continues throughout your life, like the opportunities, like they still are in their college while also doing all these other projects and internships that GFS has given them. So it's insane. I'm so blown away by those kids.
That is so crazy, man. It's good to see though that there are opportunities out there,
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the reason why I even do this JAMCast is like, maybe some kid will hear about Ghetto Film School through this interview and be inspired to apply,
Yeah, definitely. I can definitely give the link because I think they're open for applications right now. So.
Okay, dope. Yeah. So for anyone listening, man, especially if you're a kid in your youth interested in film, like definitely look into these opportunities. Yeah, even someone like myself, I knew I wanted to be in the industry forever, but a lot of those opportunities didn't exist back in my time. So a lot of us just had nowhere to start. And so that's a great avenue for kids to find some direction.
Definitely.
So what was your first major job in the industry as far as acting that I guess you would be consider notable, I guess,
Right. Considerable, notable. Definitely like, I would say The Accountant for sure, just because I had such a big role in it.
And for those that don't know, you got to play young Ben Affleck.
Yes, I was young Ben Affleck in The Accountant, which was the Warner Brothers feature, alongside John Bernthal, Anna Kendrick, a bunch of great names. And I was working with Sam Hargrave for the stunts, because Stunts was heavily involved for that project. Sam Hargrave and Fernando Chen. So it was great working with them. Sam's an incredible guy, dude. I remember like Sam just having this insane beard.
He still has it.
Yeah, dude. I know this man can grow facial hair like no other.
Yes.
Dude, I try so hard to grow out just a tiny little mustache, and it's
bro, this is like 4 years right here.
Dude, really? Dude, that's my dad though. I'm not gonna lie, like that's my dad. 4 years for that. Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, so definitely Accountant. Just because I got. What was great about The Accountant is not only did I gain that more Stunt experience and the acting and whatnot, but also Gavin O'Connor, the director, sort of took me behind the scenes of the post-production process. And I was showing up to Warner Brothers to like look at the cuts and just hang out around.
So you got really exposed to it all.
Exactly. And that also, like, that was before Ghetto Film School. So that really like drove me into getting more into the filmmaking process. Even though I kind of had like a little bit of like an idea that I wanted to get into it, that really just like drove me off the deep end with it. So definitely The Accountant was one of the most notable like and peaks of my career right now. Also, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, a very small role.
One of my
I
favorite
like
shows.
bragging about it though, because it's
one of my favorite
it's my
shows.
favorite. It's one of my favorite shows too.
One of the best comedies of all time.
I was in a single episode for like 2 minutes, but like I just love that show so much. And then I got Runt coming out soon as well. West Michigan, which was an indie feature that just came out a few weeks ago, April 13th.
You can check it out on Amazon and iTunes.
Check it out on Amazon and iTunes. Yep. Plug. And then but I've also worked with other like smaller projects. Like I did The Circle with Robert Alonzo as the stunt coordinator.
Yep, Rob's one of the best in the biz.
Yeah, 100. Yeah, I love him. And that also led to me doing a Cartier campaign for Jake Gyllenhaal, which I don't think ever came out, which is really weird. Because I'm like, they spent so much money. Like I was doing wire work and all this stuff, and it was like mad expensive for a campaign, and I don't think it ever came out. But it's crazy. So I think Alonzo also helped me get that project as well. I don't think he was working on it, but he definitely got me into that door for sure. So there are definitely a lot of highlights to cover for my career, but it's still going. So I can't wait to see what's next.
Yeah, dude, so crazy. So much to be proud of at such a young age. Like, honestly, like we talked about, you've accomplished so much, and that's why it's dope to have you on here. As far as the accounting goes, just because obviously that was like one of the first ones back in the day. How old were you when you booked that?
When I booked it, I was 12, I think.
Wow, that's
yeah,
crazy.
I was 12. I was 12, and I remember for my birthday, I think it was for my 13th birthday, we were doing a table read for the accountant, and during the table read, first thing I remember was John Bernthal came up to me and was like, "Hey, it's your birthday coming up soon." And I was like, "What?" I was like, "How do you know?" And then later, and during the table read, they were like, "Oh, by the way, we have like a surprise." And they were like, "It's gonna be Seth's birthday." So there was like Ben Affleck, John Lithgow, John Bernthal, and Anna Kendrick all were like singing me happy birthday at the table read.
Crazy.
Gavin O'Connor. And so, that definitely was a really crazy moment. That's why I remember 12 going on 13, just because it was like that pivotal birthday highlight.
100%, man. That's a definitely a memorable birthday for sure. And now along the lines of some of your other roles, one of the ones you just mentioned, like you said, is one that just released on iTunes and Amazon. And how long did you work on that one for?
West Michigan was a few weeks in the summer of 2019.
Okay.
We went out to Michigan. And it was cool because it was a smaller independent feature.
Okay.
And I was really close with the director and the lead, Chloe Wormuth.
Dope.
And like they were like family friends. And so, and I was also friends with the other like cast. The crew was pretty new to me.
Okay.
But like it was really easy to make an establishment connection with the other crew. But yeah, it was cool because we all just kind of like it was because it was such a smaller, intimate project.
Yeah.
The actual filming process was really, really different.
Okay.
And definitely nice to add that to my tool belt because it was way more independent. And so we were just sort of, I don't know how to explain it, but just like the days were just a lot more like not as like rigorous, and like there wasn't much of like a traditional like structure each day and every day because we were just doing as much as we could, and it was nice just being able to like be able to work within a different mind. Oh my god, I cannot speak. I am sorry, give me a second.
No worries, dude.
I started going on a tangent. I was like, oh my god, what's going on?
And I'm sure my next question is gonna throw you off like crazy.
Oh, really? Okay, and I'm excited then.
I can't wait.
But yeah, to some back out because I'm sure that was all garbage. But basically for the West Michigan process, because it was much smaller and more independent, we were able to work in a sort of just closer community because we were all friends, so we could communicate a lot easier.
Okay.
Yeah, nice.
That's super dope, man. It's always cool to work on projects like that, especially with people like along your same like age demographic and age group. It's really cool to share experiences like that and stuff. And so one of the questions that I wanted to ask you about, and it's really funny because I'm sure you probably are going to be like, how in the hell? So I did hear a rumor though that I don't know if it was that film or not, but was that the film that you had your first on-screen kiss?
Oh my god, I hate it so much. Yeah, that was my first on-screen kiss, and
the irony of it is the best of all time, right? Because let me just set the stage, and then you can elaborate on it.
Yeah.
The irony of it is that we just talked about The Accountant, which was like your first major break, where you met one of your best friends who we just had on the JAMCast, Jake Presley. And then a rumor that I've heard is that you had your first on-screen kiss with potentially Jake's ex-girlfriend.
I'm going to kill my dad.
Yo, we told you guys at the beginning of the episode, we're like family. Like, I know way too much about
so
Seth.
Funny. Yes, that is true. Also, yes. But not only that, it also gets it's funnier because my roommate also had a little fling with Chloe as well.
No way. Like your actual roommate.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Before that happened, so there, and also one of my other like friends from like a while ago dated her for like a few years.
No way.
So
So she knew who you were for sure.
Yeah, definitely. But it was funny because I introduced her to all those people because I was like her friend from like when I was like 13.
Totally.
So, you know, it was definitely very interesting. But that is true. That I can confirm those rumors are true.
Crazy, man. How crazy is that? And I've always wondered this because obviously like it's just a part of acting and stuff like that people know. But like, is it weird being in situations with people like that you've known for so long, like as opposed to a stranger, or would you prefer being with someone you knew?
No, I mean, it's funny. Anytime like someone asks me about that, it's like, whenever there is like such an intimate thing, like on screen in a script, it's sort of like, I don't know, it's like it's my job, you know, it's a professional thing. So like I like there isn't like much like concern or like angst or like anxiety, I guess, because it's like it's at the end of the day, it's like your job to like perform, right? And it's part of the performance. So like to me, there wasn't much to like think about it because it was just like, hey, you know, this is what I do. Yeah. And that's also like, it's really interesting because I had this conversation kind of a bit where I'm like, how do people like people will ask me and they're like, say you're in a relationship and you had to like do an on-screen kiss. I'm like, yeah, but like the thing is like, I don't have like that intimate connection with this person, or like most, like I know some people do find they're like, start dating someone on set.
Of course.
But like, you know, during like, especially that, I was just like, you know, she's been my friend for so long. So it's just like, there wasn't much to overthink, I guess.
Knock the scene out.
Exactly. Knock the scene out. And then just like it was the same as just like every other scene to me because it was just doing performance, you know?
Okay. And now obviously like you, how you mentioned that martial arts has been such a huge part of your life and obviously helped in getting your start into the film industry. Do you have a preference for action or dramatic type roles, or what direction you want to go in?
No, I mean, I don't know. Not necessarily. Just because I think it's important to do everything. I will say like, the one thing I haven't done that I'm really interested in is horror. Like I would love to do a horror thing.
Yeah.
Or like a horror action, something like that. You know what I mean? But yeah, definitely. I don't like right now have a preference of any sort. Okay. But yeah, the only thing I haven't done quite honestly is just horror. So I have like an interest in doing that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now one of the other things that I see on your page a lot is you and your involvement with music, whether you're playing or out there playing with your friends and stuff like that. And now, is that something that is a passion of yours as well as far as a career choice, or is it more just to pass the time and help keeps you balanced?
No, yeah, I don't know if I see much of it as like a profession thing. Okay. It is something that I do enjoy doing, and I've always had a fascination for music. But yeah, I don't see myself becoming like a rock star.
Okay, that was
or
my
something.
question.
You know what I mean? But it is nice to know. Especially for like I again, it's another thing like that goes into acting. Like knowing how to play guitar is really important. Like I've had roles pop up where it's like that I probably wouldn't have had before if I didn't know how to play guitar to play the guitar. You know what I mean?
Totally,
like,
yeah.
And because it is something that I do honestly enjoy, it's very easy to just like be like, oh yeah, I can play guitar for this role or whatnot. But yeah, like I do, like I've done shows before. Never got paid for it, but just like did shows just for fun. I during quarantine, because my roommate's a musician, Trevor Douglas.
Yes.
He has done like live stream concerts before, and sometimes I'll just pop on and like do a song with him. But other than that, nothing too crazy. I think it'd be really cool also as well to like make like a score for a film as well at some point.
Okay.
Like something that I'm directing or something like that. Okay. But outside of that, nothing to think about too much.
Perfect. And that's a perfect segue because I know one of the other things that you've done is help direct some music videos and stuff. Yeah. And I know that you want to go into directing as well. Is your focus to be like a film director or a television or a commercial?
Definitely. I'll say this, probably not commercial as much, just because I think that definitely is a different like form of like, it's medium. It's a different form of media.
Different form of creativity too.
Right, exactly, 100%. But like in terms of like film versus TV, I don't really know if there's like a preference for one or the other. Okay. Like currently I'm doing a TV show concept with my friends from GFS.
Nice.
But I'm also doing other like short films and whatnot, and like I'll write features. So like in terms of that, I don't think there is because I do think that TV and film both have the same sort of like communication and language.
Just usually comes down to time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I'll 100%
do
a TV show any day, and I'll do a film any day as well. So,
okay.
Yeah.
No, that's super cool. And now along the lines of that as well, I know you've also been involved in writing stuff. How many scripts have you written at this point, and have you optioned or sold any of them?
Yeah, so I have optioned a script. This is about a few years ago. It was called Time and Time Again. And then I've written other, like I was talking, like features or shorts, just like the whole shebang.
Just in general, yeah.
Well, I've written 2 features, one of which I remember coming to you actually for the stunt stuff.
I do remember that.
It was called Classified. And so I have those 2 sort of under my belt.
Okay.
I don't necessarily have a plan for them at the moment, but nice to always write a feature and sort of go through that process. Short films, I've written, honestly, I have no idea what the number is. Some that have gotten made, some that haven't, some that have been made in the Ghetto Film School.
Nice.
Again, as I mentioned earlier, I was doing that TV show concept, and so I've been working on that as well. And that's another thing. Too many to count short film wise.
No, sure. Totally understand.
But music videos, you mentioned this earlier, is I making music videos has definitely been a thing that I've been doing a lot recently.
Okay.
I'm like currently I'm shooting another one tomorrow.
Nice.
And I've made Trevor like a bunch of music videos before as well, especially during quarantine. I've always loved like music videos. I think that it is such a fascinating form of media.
Yeah.
I don't know, that I just think it's so, it's like 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever. And then you get to tell like either a story or just like a visually like appealing.
Or just beauty shots.
Exactly. Yeah. Like there's just different ways to go about it. And I think it's really nice. And I think everyone should, if you're interested in filmmaking, definitely give music videos a shot.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like some of the first early ways I learned how to edit was doing video like music video type edits, for lack of a better term, where it's like it doesn't have to be sequential. It can kind of just be jump cuts, Yeah. Totally. So yeah, I think that was a foundation for a lot of us back in the day.
Definitely.
Or just laying down, ND or just random video clips to a song track in general.
Yeah, I don't know. I am actually curious, like how for the people who make like highlight reels or like action reels and whatnot.
Yeah.
Are those people editing it themselves, do you think, or like
the majority of stunt people do edit their own reels and stuff like that, but there are some other people in our business that get hired by others. So I know like Vlad Rimberg, who's a fight coordinator and independent filmmaker, he gets hired to do a lot of people's reels, just because he knows how to edit and tell story and stuff. So yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, it's kind of a mix and match. And now at this current time, obviously you're shooting a music video tomorrow. What is the focus of your like day-to-day everyday life?
Day-to-day. Interesting. Yeah. Well, right now, like always, it's always going to be like dependent upon like auditions. You know what I mean? So like today I have an audition I got to do. Then during the next week I got to do another audition, and they'll just come in. And you just kind of have to go with the flow on that. So a lot of my day-to-day changes. Like there hardly is ever any consistency. But definitely recently it's been a lot of working on the Huntington project, and doing that TV show concept and stuff like that. And then, editing. I just got a new camera, so I've been trying to edit, like go out and shoot more stuff, even if nothing happens to them, just to like play around with it a little bit. That's currently sort of where I'm at, still play guitar and like practice with that stuff. But that's pretty much. And then work out, train, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I was just going to ask that. How much does your schedule allow for training at this point in time?
Right now, definitely try to get out like a few times a week or something like that.
Okay.
Not as much definitely as it used to be. But yeah.
And so this is one question I've always wanted to ask you, and I'm kind of shocked that I haven't asked too many other kids I've had on the show. But I think maybe it just popped into my mind because whenever I think of you, I just go back to when you're a little kid.
Right.
Did you notice a difference? Did you have to like relearn moves when you hit your growth spurt? Because you hit a pretty significant growth spurt.
Yeah. No, honestly, I got better in my growth spurt.
Because you had strength?
Because I think it was a strength and just like the height thing. And then my kicks looked a lot better once my legs got longer. Definitely. I didn't have to relearn anything. If anything, things got added to my tool belt once I grew.
And do you still have a passion or any desire to continue to pursue stunts in a career format, or do you still want to focus more on the other side of camera, like the acting and directing?
Well, you know what? Like I'm still not at a point in my life where I get to like make those choices. So like I want to, like, I think as long as I'm acting, I will also be doing stunts. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And as long as I'm making a movie, I'm sure I'll also need to like, jump in on the stunt side as well. So it's just, everything all goes together. You know what I mean? Everything comes back to that like working relationship I was talking about earlier. Like everything helps the other career. You know what I mean?
Hand in hand, of course.
I definitely, it's both a yes and a yes and a yes, because like I will be doing stunts as long as I'm doing acting. So.
Okay. And what advice would you have for a kid that's out here who maybe grew up doing martial arts like you and I both did, and they just have dreams of eventually getting into something in Hollywood? Like, what advice would you give them, or anything that would have saved yourself time along your own journey?
You're talking about like someone that wants to get into acting as well, or
yeah, someone that just wants to get into the business, and maybe all they've done their whole life is just done karate and martial arts.
You just got to be okay with no. Just like hearing the word no. Just like you got to be okay with just like rolling with the punches and just getting up and moving right back forward. You know what I mean? Like, I know it's corny, but like get knocked down and, stand back up. You know what I mean? Don't ever get discouraged, because again, there are people who don't start acting till they're like 30 or 40 or something.
Sometimes later.
Sometimes even way later. Yeah. So like everyone has their own path, and you just got to, as long as you still have the same like desire and passion, you're fine. That's all you need is desire and passion. Okay. And then everything else, you just have to, desire and passion will lead you into the next, like, next checkpoint and whatnot and so forth. So yeah, definitely just keep rolling at it.
Okay. Hell yeah, man. And now I'm curious to hear what your answer to this question is, because I was going to ask you what your ideal career path would be, but I think I'd rather just end it by asking this and kind of see where you put it in there.
Right.
Where do you personally see yourself 5 years from now? And then where do you see yourself 10 years from now?
I thought you said 5 weeks. And I was like, 5 years. Yeah. Let's see, 5 years. I would like to obviously act in more projects. And also within those projects, also be doing stunts within them. And I think that's a good, and also, try to get another like big project behind the camera wise. Okay. Maybe not a feature, because I think that may be too ambitious. But definitely the 10-year mark, have a feature out for sure. Okay. At least one, if not another. Yeah. And dude, oh my God, that is so weird. I think at 10 years I'll be 28. Crazy, right? I don't like that. Yeah. So I think that, and then, I know Jake said that he wanted a family and kids. I'm going to say that's definitely not in my plans. Hey, nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong. It's our own path.
Yeah. It's our own path. Yeah. So, definitely just keep going on it. Again, I've definitely learned to just roll with everything. So I know that even if none of those plans fall into shape by then, I just know that then it's going to be the next 5 or 10 years in the next 20. You know what I mean? I'll be, no matter what, guaranteed, I'll still be going at everything at the same desire and passion that I have now.
Hell yeah. No, man, it's super, super cool to see. And as I mentioned at the start of the episode, it's surreal more than anything based on how long I've known you. So, yeah. I always mention on the JAMCast, like, one thing that makes me feel old is when I hire kids I used to know. It'll make me feel really old if one day you're directing a movie and I'm coordinating it.
Dude, that'd be sick as fuck.
It'd be super cool, man. So hopefully we'll be able to keep this energy up and keep making advancements in our career. And one day it'll just meet along the same path.
Yeah, definitely. Dude, I very much foresee that happening. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's super dope, man. And more than anything, I appreciate all the support from your family over the years at the gyms, from White Lotus to Jam, and obviously your sister's connection with myself and stuff. And I'm super curious to see where your career takes you, man. So
dude, right back at you.
I'm excited. On everything,
I'm excited for both of us.
Hell yeah. So, before we get out of here, can you look in this camera and just let people know where they can continue to follow you and stay up to date with your social media and journey?
So I have my main Instagram account, which is Seth Lee 01. If you're interested more in the film endeavors and the directing and whatnot, follow Seth Lee Film. Pretty simple. Twitter, Super Seth Lee, and that's the main stuff you got to focus on. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Yo, guys, with that being said, please be sure to hit that like button and comment, subscribe for brand new episodes each and every week. Join us every Monday for Jam Breakdowns and every Friday for a brand new JAMCast, interviewing influential members of the movement community like Mr. Seth Lee himself. So with that being said, guys, I got to give one more very special shout out. Yo, thanks for coming through, Seth. I really appreciate it.
Anytime.
Hell yes. We'll make this happen again in the future.
Hell yeah, definitely.
Hell yes.
5-10 years.
Yes, exactly.
Sick.
And as always, guys, coming through, I'm your host, Travis Wong. Thanks for joining us here on another JAMCast. Until next time, we'll see you all soon. Peace.